Greetings and salutations, familia. We are here to chat about Lovecraft. Manaro, what's going on?
Hey, what's good, everybody? Thank you, AK, for inviting me to come and discuss Lovecraft Country. And I just want everybody to know that I need therapy. I need therapy after watching that. For those of you who don't know why, we'll get into that later. But again, thank you for having me, and welcome to everybody who's in the chat.
Yes. Amy Blackfire stopped in earlier. Hopefully she'll have time to be back. And Lady Linda R is in the chat. So yeah, I do owe Manaro a very large thank you because the horror supernatural genre isn't really her thing, but I convinced her to watch it with me anyway. So yeah, I might have to pay some therapy bills in the future, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it's worth it. Hey,
what's going on? You. Apparently human. That's very kind of you. That's so kind.
I went to sleep listening to Manaro. Now I'm opening my eyes listening to Manaro. Okay, I see you. Yeah. Shannon T, what's going on? Thank you for coming in. Oh, let's see. What did you say, Shannon? I'm behind on episodes, so I'm here to say hello and then click like, oh, thank you. Yeah, we might not even get to all of the episodes because there's like 6 of them now. And I only think we're going to be on here probably for an hour and a half, maybe. We'll see how many episodes we can actually hit. And then we'll come back later. Fernandez, what's going on? What's going on? What do you say? Did you not get any sleep last night? Oh, damn. So sorry. Jordy, what's going on? Thank you for coming through. Let's see. All right. So instead of going through the extra long episode breakdowns that we usually do just to try to save time, we're just going to hit some highlight points for each episode. So, Manaro, I'll start with you. What's your number one awesomest highlight for episode 1?
My most awesomest highlight was learning that Uncle George was the author of the Green Book. I didn't correlate it, right? For those of you, there is a movie called The Green Book, and if you've never watched the movie, I highly recommend it. Hey, Jordy. I highly recommend that you watch it. But that was one of the, I like the fact that they brought a little bit of history, and that Tick has that part of history within. Well, that's one of the things that he has as part of the history of his family is that his uncle, or should I say,
Uncle Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling it on that start.
Is the person who wrote the Green Book. So
yeah, that I will fully agree with you on. That wasn't they do very well incorporating a lot of things from Black history that I did not know much about, sadly, because our school systems in America suck. So I've been learning quite a bit and researching and finding out some background things. A few things I'll get to once we get to episode 5, because that's when it really comes in. But for me, my first highlight was the opening of the show. As soon as I saw that scene, I was like, oh, this shit is about to be crazy. We jumping off right out the gate.
Can I tell you that my heart skipped out? I was like, I don't know if I can watch this.
I was not prepared to see all of that coming down. I'm like, okay, but the dude's in the war. All right. I knew he was going to be in the army from the trailer, but everything's in black and white. And then we start getting these pops of color. Fucking Cthulhu just flies through the screen like there wasn't anything to it. And then there's some chick beaming down from a damn spaceship, and I'm looking. I was like, wait, is that Mulan? And for y'all that don't know, Jamie Chung played Mulan on Once Upon a Time. So and I loved how she did it. So that's why I always call her Mulan. And I was like, yeah, that sure is Mulan. Why the fuck she red? And then she started speaking some weird language to Tick. And I was like, wait a minute. I need more information. But then he woke up and I was like, well, shit, I guess I ain't going to get all the answers today, unfortunately.
And another thing about that, and not to cut you off, the guy who swings the bat to kill the monster, remember what he says?
Yes. I got you, kid. I got a random theory about that one. And I remember if you've seen all the episodes, you remember that's a story that Montrose and Uncle George told Tick happened to them when they were kids. They were getting picked on by some white boys, and some random savior with a baseball bat came through, knocked everybody around, and was like, I got you, kid, and then faded off into the mist of Avalon like he was just some epic hero coming to save the day. I feel like if that comes up again, and I think it will, because Tick did bring it up in a later episode, I'm almost theorizing that that's going to end up being Tick. Some type of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff is going to go down, and Tick is going to see the opportunity and, oh, okay, I need to go and save my uncle and my daddy, Uncle Daddy. Otherwise, I might not be born. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's.
I could be wrong, but I feel like they brought that up again for a reason. So I don't think we're quite done with that concept just yet. Spots, what is going on, my guy? Thank you for coming through. Yeah, if you don't want spoilers, definitely roll out, because we are going all in with the highlights.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention something Raised by Wolves. I saw actually OTDA sent me the trailer for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm brave enough to watch that either, because that looks kind of gory. And I know the guy that plays the antagonist, like he was in Viking.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings was violent. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm prepared for that type of violence, but I'm gonna watch the first episode because it looks really good.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. Yeah, it's on my to watch list, but I'm so wrapped up in Lovecraft Country, I don't want to put another show in there just yet in my psyche. So I think after Lovecraft is over, then I'll be going into Raised by Wolves. And also I'm gonna shout out Top Shelf Fandom, Justin. I know he's been going through the whole season. I believe they've already had their season finale, and I think he just did like the last 2 episodes. So if you are interested and you haven't watched anyone discuss those episodes yet, head over to his channel and check those out. Chrissy of Oldstones, my lady, good morning. I'm glad you can make it. Chrissy was up with us last night, late as all hell too.
I'm so sorry that I just was not going to be able to stay up. I had to let Sam know that I probably wasn't going to be able to make it to her birthday stream, because I don't know if I was going to be able to stay up that late.
Manaro has to take naps if she going to be late night streaming.
Yeah, I don't have it in me anymore to stay up past like 9 o'clock. I think I'm getting old.
I hate to break it to you, but I think we all getting old. Amy, you made it back.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, Fernandez.
Oh man. Okay, so what would be your second biggest highlight for this episode?
Okay, so my second biggest highlight of the episode, I would have to say the whole idea of Tick representing so many biblical uh biblical tropes or characters in that ending scene. Like he represents not only Adam, the first man, but he also represents Jesus, and he essentially is being turned into some sort of like a tree of life. And remember, like every time somebody mentions gaining immortality, there's always this tree of life. There's always a tree that is used as a symbolism, or that is the object of for you tapping into immortality or youth, right? And if you've ever watched any movie, every time somebody's looking for eternal youth, they always mention a tree of life. And it just seems that's what, when he was turning, that's all the things that was going through my head, right? And when we think about the Garden of Eden, there was a tree of good and evil. There was a tree that they had all the trees in the garden that they were able to eat from, but that there was this one particular tree that they were not supposed to eat from because it was the tree that had the knowledge of good and evil, right? Everything goes back to a tree. A tree is rooted. A tree represents, oh man, there's like so many things going through my head and I can't even get all my thoughts straight. So I hope everybody is following along with what I'm saying. But that to me, like, that kind of like, I thought that was a real highlight. And then his ancestor, his great grandmom, leads him out just before the house crumbles. Like, she appears and then she leads him out, and I have a feeling like she was holding a book.
Yes, we're gonna get to that book.
And she was holding a book, and I feel like she is going to, I don't know if I might be jumping ahead, so please forgive
me. Go ahead. No, come on. Let
I have a feeling that Uncle George is probably gonna be also somebody that's gonna appear just in the same way, but not in the same way, but in a different way, to also be like a guide. Like, 'cause she's a guide. She's clearly a guide. And I feel like Uncle George is also going to be that way, because he essentially was writing a guidebook, and he has an understanding of how to, where's the good places to go and where are the bad places to go. But now that he has transferred into the outer realm, just go with me. He's in another realm now, right? So now he can essentially guide Tick through this journey of discovering not only Tick, but his wife and his daughter, and his brother, right? So I think he's essentially going to play sort of like the same. I do expect that the great grandmother is always going to be there. To what end, I don't know, but I think Uncle George is also going to be that also. But how he will appear, I have no idea. But that was my second. That was my second highlight.
Yeah, that I actually took basically every mystical and biblical thing that I caught from this episode. This is what started my brain pattern going on the Uncle George, Hippolyta, and Diana video that I did. If y'all haven't watched that, please go over and watch it and let me know what you think. But basically, I agree with what Manaro was saying. Adam, Samuel Braithwaite, he thinks he's supposed to be the Adam in the story. No, that's Tick. And we know who Tick's who Adam's daddy is. So that puts Uncle George with a few godly lights on his character, and I do think we're gonna see him again. I hope there might be some type of resurrection. I don't know how they're gonna explain that to the neighborhood if it happens, but I'm still rooting for it, because you don't hire Courtney B. Vance for just 2 episodes, man.
Right?
Who does that? That just doesn't compute. So I'm holding out hope that we see him again. And that actually helps tie into my second big highlight is the family dynamic between Uncle George, Tick, and Hippolyta and Diana. You see, like it from the moment that Uncle George and Hippolyta are on the screen, you see how tied in and connected and how much in love with each other they are, and just this great family unit that they have. And then they pull Tick in, and it's awesome. And then right up next to that, we see Ruby and Letty. Things aren't so smooth there, but it's still a very interesting dynamic. Like, you can definitely tell there's problems and concerns that need to be handled, but there's also still a deep love and caring for each other. They're just at a point in their lives where they don't quite know how to mesh and deal with the bad
right
before getting back to the good. And I think that speaks a lot for issues that end up happening in, I guess I can't say all Black families, but just from families that I have seen, is we don't always know how to talk through things. So stuff gets basically skirted around or swept under the rug, but then something happens and it all comes back out. So just to see how both of these units operate, I thought was very good to put that into the first episode, where we have all these great things going on, but there is going to be drama. And I like the drama. It helps to make for a good story. So let's see. Well, number 3, let's just put you on. What's your third highlight for the episode, Manaro?
My third highlight for the episode is the moment when they're inside of the cabin and the sheriff is turning into
you need to shoot him.
And they're telling the other guy to shoot him, and he's like, like,
wait, you cut out there. Shoot! What did you say?
I said the part where they're in the shack, right? And the sheriff is clearly turning into a vampire. And
yeah.
And then George and Tick is telling the other deputy, "Yo, shoot him!" And he's looking at him with the gun. Deputy, are you all right? Like, shoot! Then he got ate the heck up.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. There are literal monsters that have already killed some of that man's friends. And they both still in there talk about monsters don't exist. Bruh, what took your arm off then? And all the time while he sees something is wrong with his captain, and Uncle George is like, yo, you really need to shoot that dude. Something is happening. He still has the gun on Tick and Uncle George. Just basically ignoring what the actual monster is. Like, what the hell? It's just the ridiculousness of the times back then. And I mean, and that actually puts me right into my third highlight is I, learned a few things on Black history throughout this whole show, but this episode in particular, I have never been afraid of a sundown before, but that the stress of watching that chase scene, boy.
Yeah.
I was happy. I had a sigh of relief when the monsters did show up. I was like, holy shit. Like, no, we cannot do this.
That was creepy as hell. Let me tell you.
Oh my word.
It took me forever to get through that first episode. Like, y'all don't understand. It took me forever to get through that episode. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like, them things was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to survive. It was just picking people.
Yeah, no, it had no qualms about going after anybody. And poor Uncle George, I thought we were going to lose him right there because of his bad knees.
They left Uncle George. I was like, oh my God, they left poor Uncle George on the floor. It's like, I was like, man, I probably would have already soiled myself.
Child. Yeah, that shit was crazy. Jasmine B, what's going on? Thank you for coming through.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was such a wild ride. Like, and then actually let me back up a little bit, because on the travel where Uncle George mainly he this is a guide trip for him. He's got to check out a few new places,
right,
to make sure that they're safe to put in the Green Book, or to say don't go here in the Green Book. And they go into this restaurant, and you can tell something's off. From the very beginning. And this is where I really started to love Letty's character, because when those women walk by her with their stuck up faces, she just pulled her shades down, look right at them like, bitch, I'm here. Take a picture. It'll last longer. And, they go in, they sit and talk. And of course, they're not really going to be served. Punk ass little boy goes and makes a phone call in the back. And next thing we know, Letty's ass comes zooming out. Get your asses up. We got to get the fuck out of here. That is when the
But remember, just before that, when they were looking at the map to go look at that restaurant had prior been called something else.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It was, I forget what the lady's name was, but yeah.
It makes the observation, why would they paint the walls white?
Mm-hmm.
Remind me why they paint the
White House white.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you can tell that it's something that recently happened, because the building that's next door to it still had the burn marks and was still boarded up. So they only fixed just that one part. It's nuts. And it's the freaking fire department and some random other rednecks that come through and start shooting at them. And I'm sorry, I have to put some shade on Tick's name right here. Bro, you are trained to handle a gun. Why the hell did none of those shots hit anything? Did you go to the Stormtrooper School of Shooting, young man? I need you to do better. I'm just saying. But yeah, once they got past that, and then they ended up getting stopped by that sheriff. It was just the most stressful damn time watching that. And they trying to hurry up, but they can't speed or they'll get pulled over. This asshole's behind them, ramming into the car, and it's such it. Sean Tank Top does really good reactions for this show, and he also has very good discussions on it, so y'all check his channel out. But he has a segment when he does his discussions called That's So 2020, and I'm thinking that this is a bit of a 2020 moment here, because a lot of times, no matter what the hell you do, the shit is still going to go off just because someone doesn't want to accept you.
Exactly.
They made it. They hit the deadline. They were across those tracks.
It was a setup.
Yeah, them assholes were still down there waiting on them. They were never going to be leaving in that sheriff's mind. So it's just so absurd. So absurd. And that type of thing still happens today. There are literally still sundown towns in the South right now. It's ridiculous and ignorant and scary. And that, honestly, that's just why I don't fuck with the South like that. I mean, not that, you don't catch racism around here. You do, but they be just so much extra.
We don't have sundown.
At least we don't have to worry about sundown towns around here.
But I would probably assume that they probably have some sundown towns like in the Midwest as well, because
because
where
redneck
it's not predominantly like. But they weren't even in the South. They were like in Boston.
That's right. They were Massachusetts. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. I totally forgot that. scratch all of that.
So, for people in this, for if anybody in the South thought that there wasn't any racism going up north,
oh, no, it was everywhere.
All that it surely did exist, especially in towns where there wasn't a huge population of Black people. Most of the northeast, you'll probably find a lot of Irish and Portuguese and some German, Polish, a lot of the European, like Central European.
Yep.
A population, or UK up in those areas. Yeah.
It's nuts. And like Fernandez just put something in chat here. That's crazy that we know about sundown towns from a TV show and from movies, but not from school.
We're learning a lot of history from TV shows. Not school. We're learning a lot of history.
Yep.
A lot of history.
That's honestly been one of my favorite things about this show in general, is everything that they bring out and how they tie it in for that time frame. So let's see, we pretty much, we got to the monsters, and that's pretty much where everything ended with episode 1. So what would your first highlight for episode 2? You're muted.
Sorry. You're yakking away. I'm telling you, man, I'm getting old. Okay, episode 2. My first highlight of episode 2 was the house.
Yep.
My God, the luxuriating of the house. And I also want to say that even though Tick might have been right, he was a hater.
Yeah.
Tick in that episode was he was I needed him to take it down like a few hours.
Yeah, he was going about it the wrong way. He had the right idea, but he was pushing a little too hard for what he was trying to get to. So yeah.
But the whole house, like how everybody woke up in the room where it was like their dream space. You know what I mean? George, with all of the books, Letty with all of the wardrobe. Oh my God, the wardrobe.
They did hook her up though. Whoever is in charge of her fashion is on point.
Yes. And Tick just being, and everybody has like all this great music, and then they get to Tick and it's like
it's like a record scratch. Just stop all that happiness immediately. My boy is going through PTSD, and he you can tell he's bothered and he's surprised by it, but there's that note of him being not necessarily being okay, but it's not the first time he's seen some shit.
Yeah.
Because he's a little too calm in putting things into perspective. And if you've watched episode 6 already, we now know why he didn't trip out.
I cannot wait till we get to episode 6.
It was some stuff going down. But let's see. Okay, so my first highlight is random ass cult is creepy. I mean, from the moment that Chrysilium opened the door, I was like, oh, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. Bitch, what the fuck you mean welcome home? We are in the 50s and you are like the whitest white man ever. And you telling the black folk, welcome home? Explain yourself this instant right now. No, that already had me on the creep vibes. And then we got to, we had the whole montage. And if I didn't notice it at first, but when I did my first rewatch of that episode, the windows in Letty's room are really freaking creepy. The shit that they have on that stained glass.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't know if I like that. And that comes into play later, but that's towards the end of the episode. So I'll put that nugget there. We'll put a pin in it and come back to that. But yeah, everything about that house, and the house was huge and big, and it did look awesome, but it still gave me the creep vibes. It's like,
it was a creepy house.
Yeah, I just and that tends to happen a lot with older houses. And it's just a vibe that it put off. And then you look at the folks that are in the town around this house, like, are y'all still stuck in like the 1820s or something? Like, everybody's walking around, and I mean, not to disrespect Amish folks, but it looks like they're walking around in Amish land, and that's just wasn't the time.
Well, remember the house was rebuilt, right? Because the original house
it was burned down. But does that mean that people don't update with the times?
I guess, there's some towns that don't that still maintain their, I don't know what to call it. Like, there's some towns that, like, if you were to go to certain towns in the US, they've stayed the way they're pretty much the same as when they first came about. Like, they don't change. Like, there's nothing, they still have like the same. Like, I've driven through towns, and I've been in towns where, like, it's like a time capsule. It is an actual time capsule. Like, they have something called a general store. I was like, who calls something a general store? What happened to the Walmart? Where's Target? They actually have something called a general store. Like, they'll have like near where my brother lives, there's a building that has the post office, that has a pharmacy, and a movie theater at the top, all in the same building.
I didn't know that Piggly Wigglies were actually a thing. I thought that was just something that they made up to seem old school in old TV shows. I saw my first one when I went to North Carolina. I was like, holy shit, that actually exists. I didn't know. I hadn't been down that far south before.
Yeah, so that house has I think, but there's also a lot of mystical elements within the house because of the fraternity, right?
You gotta wonder if that has leaked out into the town.
Could be.
I think that might have something to do with it. Like, they're purposely keeping those people in one time frame.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think they'll ever touch on that again. I guess we'll have to see what happens. All right, let's see. Another highlight. What you got on the list?
Okay. My next highlight for that episode was when they were all sitting down at dinner, and they came and they presented their plates. And they told Uncle George, don't eat that.
Don't eat that.
Because remember, if you remember, that was when Tick goes into that room, and there's somebody like digging into old boy and taking out like a whole piece of his flesh. Oh, that was so disgusting.
Oh, that was God. I'm cringing now remembering it. Oh my goodness, it was so gross.
Are they filleting somebody alive? I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I can't. And then I had to turn away, and all I kept hearing was, oh. I was like, oh my God, they're filleting somebody alive. Why?
Right, like, why are you taking any part of this man out, and you didn't try to give him no type of anesthetic or anything? Well, I mean, that was a whole weird ass mood, that whole thing.
So yeah, and that was fun. But again, there's like a biblical sense to that, right? Because if you remember the Last Supper, Jesus did not do this literally. He was just doing it figuratively by breaking bread and saying, "This is my flesh." Like he was being, he wasn't being literal. Oh my God! But that dude was actually being literal. He was being very, very literal by having them eat a piece of his actual flesh.
Right, and he thought he was doing the greatest thing. Like, I also am giving a piece of myself. Like, boy, sit down, sir. Sit down. It just, gross. Yeah, yeah.
But I like the way Tick was like, yeah, you don't want to eat that, bro.
Yeah. Kudos to Uncle George, because he actually did at least go to look and check it out. And Tick was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that whole entire scene was a highlight for me. That whole Last Supper.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all need to get the fuck out.
Right. I want everybody except this asshole to get up and get the fuck out. And they tried to curb him. Sitting there looking at him. Excuse me. That is an order. My blood is better than yours. Get the fuck out. And yeah, the motherfuckers got up and they got the fuck out. But that then brings me to another highlight. Magic comes with a price. You know, Tick is going through all of this. And even though, you know, the other old fuddy-duddies did leave the room, he tried to order Samuel to give him his dad. And Samuel's like, yeah, that shit works on the low level, folks. But, you know, that's not going to work with me. Don't think just because I need you that I can't get rid of you if necessary, basically. So they go back in there and, you know, Tick is in his feelings again. He's talking to Chrysilium in Christina's skin now. What's going on, Reese? And, you know, he says, you know, there's some type of spell. There's something happening. I need you, you know, take it off of them. Why can't they remember all this, all that? And Chrysilium gets, I think, gets a little bit frustrated, but also gets petty. And this is the first instance we see of Chrysilium being petty. She takes the spell off, and we automatically, as soon as they remember, we hear them yelling and screaming and trying to get out of their rooms to Tick. But now all three of them are locked in their rooms. Magic comes with the price. And not only can they not get out of their rooms, but there's some really crazy, creepy shit that starts happening. You know, Tick is locked in his room, but all of a sudden we see Tick walking in the lady's room. They had me for a second. I thought, I don't know what I thought, but I was like, okay, they sitting here talking. You know, they've already had the vibes from the beginning. All right, we get into it. But then I was like, wait, how the fuck did he get out of his room? And we go back to his damn room, and he's in there fighting with Gia's ass. Where the fuck did Mulan come from? How the hell did she get here? And then we scoot over to Uncle George. And Uncle George is having a damn dance party with what's her name? Tick's mom, Nora? I don't remember.
No, that wasn't Tick's mom.
Yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah. Dora. I think it was Dora.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tick's mom.
I didn't recognize that was Tick's mom.
Yes. And that is where the Uncle Daddy theory started popping off in my head. I was like, wait a minute. Yes. Uncle George don't look like the cheating type. So how did we get here? And from
he must have known he must have known her before she got with.
Before, exactly. And the few people that I have like really conversed and went into a deep dive with Uncle George and Nora, what we think is like when they were all younger, Uncle George and Nora were together, or Dora, I don't remember. Sumra is her name. But they got together and there maybe was a pregnancy out of wedlock. They couldn't do anything about it, but somehow, you know, Montrose got in the mix, and Uncle George maybe trying to save his little brother, put them together. because we find out later, you know, Uncle George tells Montrose, you know, that might not be, you know, he might not be yours. I don't think there's a might there. I think both of them know exactly who the daddy is.
Exactly.
And they've been covering it for many, many, many years now.
Exactly.
So there was something going on there, because I do not see in any way, shape, or form for these characters that Uncle George would have cheated on Hippolyta. I think they were together first, and then later on down the line is when he got with Hippolyta.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I don't know exactly if that's what it is. I'm hoping it gets explained, because that's big mystery there. I mean, she does say something about you know, Uncle George's children. So that also is a tick that a tick, pun not intended. That also is a tick on the checklist that, yeah, Diana is not Uncle George's only child. So there's a lot of, you know, things going on in the background that ties back into what I was saying earlier. There's so many secrets sometimes.
And remember when child. Remember when Letty was having her housewarming party and
next episode.
Huh?
Never mind. No, go on.
Ladies, no, I'm just trying to the point of Tick being Uncle George. Remember the comment that Hippolyta made to her about how he used to turn the cup when he washed the dishes? Yeah,
Letty straight asked her, you know, does he remind you of George? She was real quick, no. She was quick to put that no out there. So whatever the connection is, I fully think Hippolyta knows it as well.
Yep.
So and we saw from the beginning, like I said, the family dynamic they have. She very much loves and cares for Tick as well. But I do think that she knows, you know, she's kind of stepmommy, not auntie.
Hi, Sam. Happy birthday. Sorry I missed your yeah, I was out.
I'm surprised you are even awake right now, Sam. Like, we were all up late, but you were way drunker than me.
I hope you enjoyed your day. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun time.
I know it was great, especially when Jay was there. I'm sorry. I was not gonna be. I was out. Yeah. So that was so. Which highlight are we on again?
I think we're on like the last one. Well, everything we kind of jumped into what my third one was. So okay. What's your next one?
My next one for that particular episode was Montrose. Montrose, yeah, Uncle Montrose. Uncle Montrose rescue. Uncle Montrose, they go to rescue Uncle Montrose, and Uncle Montrose digs his way out of the hole, and then they run into each other. And like, we're here to rescue. He's like, I don't need y'all to rescue me. I was like, damn, now I see why not everybody thinks you're an asshole, because you are an asshole.
Exactly. Because first of all, there are monsters in the fucking woods, you dumbass. Yes, the hell you did need them to come rescue you. You weren't gonna get no further than that damn lawn. And right? I don't think he crawled. I don't think he just by himself crawled his way out of anything. I think they let him go on purposely. I don't think he just happened to find his way out, because the damn rocks that were removed from that wall, Tig and Uncle George had to pull those back out. So if he just escaped, because they got there right when he came up out of the ground. So that means he just now, a few minutes ago, was crawling through there. Who the hell put the rocks back in place? It's a small thing, but it says a lot.
That dude is a hot diggity mess. Can I just say that?
And he came in, I don't need y'all to rescue me. I ain't talked to you in 5 years, boy. And you fight me on everything. And motherfucker, why the fuck did I come here to get you? Like, I almost feel like we should just left Montrose ass where the fuck he was.
He was such a butthole.
Goodness. Bro, get your shit together. As Octavia said, there's one in every family. Yeah.
That is. And I have one, and mine is affectionately known. He's not a butthole, but he's just that uncle in my family. He's more like my brother than my uncle, but my Uncle Julian. That's ours. That is ours. Yes.
Yeah. Fernanda, I'm laughing at you because of your damn holes comment. You goof. Yeah, and I don't know why they never addressed that. That's why I'm saying it's a small thing, but I mean, I noticed the little dumb shit like that when I'm putting things in a perspective. I'm sure not now. I'm sure nobody else was thinking about them damn rocks.
No, I wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, they moved the rocks. I was like, okay, that seemed kind of easy that they were able to move the rocks. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now that we get Uncle George. Well, obviously he was there, but with the minute that I saw his hands like poking out, I was like, oh my God, that is just so hilarious. His hands is poking out with his, and he's got shackles.
And he like, he looks around and he like does the double fist bump in the air, and right then is when they say, hey, Montrose. He turns around like, what the hell y'all doing here? Oh, my word.
Oh my goodness.
Fernandez, are you watching the same show that we're watching? He was being held captive in that damn dungeon place where Letty had to beat the weirdo lady across the head.
And who happens to make a reappearance, but
indeed. Yeah, we are going to get to that. Yes. Okay, so my last highlight though for this episode is Chrysilium is a thing. This is the episode that very firmly set in my mind that Christina and William were the same person. And I know a lot of people were doubting it in the very beginning because they're like, well, you know, they've got William walking around. Wouldn't her dad be able to tell? I don't think he could. I think Christina is she's very good. You know, a lot better at the spells than her father gives her credit for. I think that she let herself be seen as William, but to tweak it while she was still around her dad and the old fuddy-duddies, they would still always see her as Christina. If that makes sense. Hey, Bobby. So yeah, that's just that's how it is. Yeah, my brain.
I didn't put it together until later. You know what I mean? I didn't put it together. Like at first, I didn't put it. I was like, oh, they look. I was like, my first thought was, are they related? Because they look so like they look so alike. But he kept calling her Miss Braithwaite.
Miss Braithwaite. Yeah.
I was like, why are you calling? I was like, aren't you not? I said, but you know. They could be weird that way. I don't know. And
he said that they're really good friends.
She's powerful. I will say that. She is very powerful.
She has the spells and potions on lock.
I want to know, and I also want to know what her connection to these little vampiric those actually call them little beasts. Those vampiric beasts.
And why the hell were they being birthed out of cows? What did the poor cows do to deserve that fate?
Like, I'm trying to understand what that is about. Like, she obviously, I also wonder. Well, we'll get to it when we get to that later on in our discussion. But it just seems like. Yeah, there's some weird shit going on. When we get to that episode, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, it's a lot of weird shit going down. But that, you know, and sadly at the end here is where we lost Uncle Daddy George. But I'm still hoping that he's coming back.
You know, I blame Tick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
should have known. You know, Samuel's not a hard person to figure out. When he said, "Who else are you gonna survive this with?" Why the hell did you look at anybody, especially Uncle George? Because he's clearly automatically gonna see that. Okay, that is your true weakness right there. So I'm taking him out. Just and a lot of folks have a theory that even though Uncle George was bleeding out, some folks think that Montrose might have helped him along sneakily, that he might have held Uncle George in a certain way that the life force drained out of him quicker.
No, I don't want to say that, because
I don't think that Montrose would go there. At least I hope he wouldn't. I think Montrose is trash, but I don't think he would have killed his brother like that.
He wouldn't. I don't think so. Because remember, when Letty was telling them to come out, he's the one that said, listen, if he gets out, he's going to bleed out. He's the one that said that. He can't move. He's going to bleed out.
Yeah, but they did have to leave.
They did. I mean, and he was like, listen, my legs are working, so it was a chance that they were going to have to take.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a chance they had to take, and unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you, Linda. I like that they touch on all the subgenres of horror on each episode. And I don't know what you're talking about. Fear not, there's Lady Uncle George Stoneheart coming. You know what? I wouldn't be mad at that. I would not be mad at that at all.
That would be something, right?
I think that would be interesting. That would be interesting. But all right, let us move on to episode 3. My first highlight for this episode is, y'all remember that stand-up that Eddie Murphy did way back in the day, Delirious? When he was talking about haunted houses and the poltergeist, I think the movie he was talking about. And he was like, why don't white folks leave when they see this ghost in the house? Yeah. Like, I'm walking along with my lady and oh, this looks beautiful, baby. This looks lovely. Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby. That is the vibe that this damn house had. I don't care how cheap it is or what type of hookup deal you got. Just looking at that house should have been a nope. Absolute nope. Mm-mm. And what happened the first 5 damn minutes in the house? Letty almost gets her head taken off. Whew, Lord. Anyway, that was my first highlight. So you jump in. What's yours?
Okay. Oh my God. Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go?
Where do you want?
The Exorcism. That is my only highlight of this episode.
Yo, the vibe. Exorcism. That whole scene from when they brought the voodoo lady up to the porch all the way down to the end. Yeah, that whole.
It's bad that they had to go get a Haitian woman to do it, but it's okay though. It's okay though. They went and got an old Haitian woman to come and.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad that she knew at least who to go to, the correct person to go to.
She's like, Letty was, when Tick was like, how'd you know to go get her? She goes, I don't know. It just seemed like the right thing to do. We have a haunted house to go get somebody who knows.
I mean, wouldn't you?
That's so practical. That is so practical.
Exactly. I mean, that's where my brain would have went. I don't dabble in those things, but if I was around and some extracurricular shit really started happening, I am getting on the phone. I am calling New York and calling one of my aunties like, hey, I need somebody to come up here. So yeah, that made nothing but sense to me. I was not surprised that that's where it went at all. So yeah, this whole episode was a whole mood for me. From the very beginning, like I said, the haunted house, that shit tripped me out. And I really did, a bit of seriousness for a minute. I really did like the dynamic with Letty and Ruby in this episode, starting from the beginning there. And by the time we got to the end, there are definitely still things that they need to work on. And I think Ruby needs to be told that what she thought actually happened with the money did not happen, that it was all a trick and a setup on Letty's part. So I do hope that they talk soon, because a lot of shit has happened with these two, but they've been living their lives separately since the end of this episode. So they don't know what's going on with each other, and they really need to talk soon. Hopefully that happens within the next episode before the season's over. But the damn neighbors were tripping from the very beginning, and I didn't pay attention to it until about halfway through the episode. But when Tick first got to the house, he was like, I you moved in on a Sunday when the neighbors were all gone in that church, so they couldn't cause no drama.
Right.
They were moving everything in, and that was a very calculated move, a very smart, calculated move. And I didn't appreciate it until later. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that would have been the best time to move in, because how much worse could it have been than them parking cars outside and putting bricks on the horns? Also, you assholes, whose car batteries were actually lasting as long as those damn car batteries were? Right? I'm wondering what type of Energizer juice did y'all have in them damn cars? And who also, families didn't have multiple cars like that, even in the good neighborhoods way back then. So whose cars were these sitting here bright and shiny, and nobody needed to use them to get to work during the week? I don't know. Random.
Letty straight went Letty went in. Oh, let's not forget about the Ouija board, because somebody brought it up. And
bro,
the Ouija board.
Whose black children are playing with Ouija boards all willy-nilly? Explain that to me. I don't know. Not one of my friends as children that we would actually mess with anything like that. I'm wondering whose it was and who allowed it to be brought into the house. But I shout out though, because the little boy Bobo is the Emmett Till character from History. And I found it a bit fascinating that they chose to put his character in there.
Really?
He's going to come back. I think it's episode 8 is called Jigabobo. And you remember when they were on the Ouija board and he asked if he would enjoy his trip down south.
He was gonna have a good time on his trip, right?
Yeah, and they said, no, you're not going to enjoy it at all. I'm wondering if, I don't think they're going to change the outcome, but I'm wondering if something's going to happen to where maybe Diana's random magic power kicks in and she tweaks it somehow. I don't know. I feel like they're doing that for a reason. And I'm really just trying to speculate on where they're going to take that story. Yes, get out of here, Catherine, if you don't want the spoilers. I told you we're going in, but thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that whole
I'm not even surprised that you have one on your keychain.
Yeah,
look at this. You see this?
Who has a Ouija? Oh my gosh! Listen, I don't mess with none of that. I don't fool with none of it. I don't fool with none of it.
Nope.
I don't fool with none of that. I don't fool with none of it. Because remember, when the house started acting all crazy, when everything started going crazy, the first thing Diana said, "Where the kids at?"
Yeah.
It's supposed to be out.
She went right to check on the kids. But that scene, let's say, after Tick and Letty had their little moment in the bathroom, I knew she was lying. I knew it wasn't no damn period. I knew right then and there as soon as I saw the blood, oh no, that was your first time, bitch. You ain't fooling me. But right after that, when she had her, her good pheromones going and whatnots, and these assholes going like damn cross on fire, you could tell from the look on her face. And kudos,
she was
especially to
done.
Journey, for this damn episode. She was done. She was not having none of the fuck shit that night. She went right outside. And the thing I loved about this scene is there wasn't any planning among anyone. She grabbed the baseball bat. Tick was like, yo, get the guns.
Yep.
And they all went out there. They posted up. She did her thing. And here come Ruby down the driveway, driving away with the evidence before the cops got there. And she knew it, and Letty knew enough. She tossed the fucking baseball bat across the street, got that shit away from her, and then they just automatically assumed the position. I thought that was one of the best coordinated strikebacks ever.
Yep.
Because nobody asked questions. They saw, oh, our girl's in trouble. Okay. Time to lock it down. And I thought that was fucking great. Absolutely great. I am still mad about the damn Ouija board. I'm sorry. It's not a toy.
And I like the fact that, well, I like and hate the fact, right? That when Tick had already deciphered the fact that the house that Letty bought was because of Cressilium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say anything to her. And so when he, again, now this is where I'm going to say that Tick is a dumbass. Tick is a dumbass. He goes to confront Christina to shoot her. And she had to tell him, you know what? It's not really smart to shoot a white woman.
Right, like you have to be smarter than that, cousin. Please. But call me if you want to know anything else about the family. I'm here for you.
Like
I can't be mad. I cannot be mad at her because she is playing. Okay, look, Cressilium is playing wizard's chess, y'all. This is what's happening here. She is playing wizard's chess like 3 moves ahead of everybody else. Tick is smart, but he's still dumb because he's catching on to the shit a little bit too late. He does eventually tell Letty that it was Cressilium that did that whole setup. But he was really about to go and shoot her in broad damn daylight. And all you had was like a regular revolver. No silencer, no pillow in your hand, even to try to block the sound. People were going to hear that and then come investigate and see you leaving that building. You weren't going to be able to get to any train station fast enough to get away and go anywhere. What the hell were you thinking? Like, you ain't even trying to wait until nighttime. We're not in a populated place. Fucking
like,
Tick,
that's my T-baby boy, dumbass.
Right, he's still a dumbass.
And then he's a dumbass. And then, of course, when I like the fact when Christina went over to the house, right? And she couldn't get in because remember when the Obia put the blood, and that's also another biblical theme. Because remember when the 10 plagues were being put on the Egyptians, remember the one of the firstborn.
Yep.
Israelites were told to put the blood of a clean, unspoiled, thing lamb on their doorpost so that the angel could pass over their house and their firstborn would be protected. So it's a protection seal, right? And so of course Christina couldn't go in, which I find very, very interesting.
Very interesting. Yes, I need them to touch on that again. I really do. I need them to explain that a little bit more because they do have they've kind of had this vampire vibe with all of them from the beginning, and you know a vampire can't really enter your house without permission. Otherwise,
you invite them in.
Safe unless you invite them in. But now here, it's very, very interesting that that spell keeps her out, and that I think is the main reason that Cressilium goes after Ruby. So and actually that wraps up episode 3 for me. So yeah, let's just continue right into this. Episode 4, Adventure Time. This episode was the homage to Indiana Jones and the Goonies and National Treasure. Every awesome adventure seek and find thing that I love was in this episode, and I thought it was freaking great. Montrose again is trash, and R.I.P. Two Spirit Yahima. I am very upset that they took that character out so quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very upset because I don't get characters that are from my home country many times in TV shows. And this one was such a very great and interesting and knowledgeable one. And y'all took her out. I'm still salty about it.
But I think they had to, because they have to make Tick's journey to finding out the truth a lot harder, right? And sometimes but I get it. Like I don't. They could have. I mean, I don't understand I didn't understand the reasoning of having her go through this whole entire escape. Like they bring her back, right? Even though it's by accident, they bring her back and they escape with her and go through all. You now become somewhat familiar and attached to her, and then
fucking
Montrose, his freaking Montrose, man.
That's what I'm saying. Montrose is trash.
Who thinks he's doing everybody a favor? I'm trying to protect our family. He knows. He knows so much more than he's telling. He does
more than he's already done. Even before this whole sequence of events, the proof of the library book shows he's already done this research. George gave you that book and told you to give it to Tick so he could protect the family. Your dumb ass is so afraid of whatever it is you've learned that you burned the damn book that has the fucking information that could help protect y'all. And then the argument you give is, we already have one section of this cult coming after us. You want the other 34 chapters? And Tick calls him on it. How the fuck you know it's 34 chapters? And if you are worried about them coming after you, why would you destroy the fucking magic book that could help you protect everyone? Why would you have everybody flying blind thinking that that's the best course of action? You fucking idiot. Montrose is trash.
And this is why I think Uncle George is gonna be their guide. Because they need something. Because they no longer have the book. And so Uncle George is gonna end up having to be essentially their guide.
Yeah. I think the character of Hannah is probably also going to come back as well. Exactly. My theory on her is that she has innate magic. I don't think that it's just the Braithwaite part of Tick's blood that has magic. I think Hannah had it too, and that's why he's so revved up. It's because all of that clashed together, and also with the Freeman blood, I think Uncle George has a little something in his bloodline as well, and that is why Tick is so powerful. It really is a freaking shame the way they're having Montrose go. And I get it, he's an asshole, yeah, but could you maybe have him be a smart acting asshole? I mean, I understand people have childhood trauma and whatnot.
He's being very calculated. He's being very calculated and deliberate.
The wrong damn way, and for the wrong reasons. His logic is appalling to me, because you can't fight and protect people without actually having the knowledge of how to fight and protect people. You burning the book and wiping it out of existence doesn't help in any way, shape, or form. And then you refuse to even try to give them information when Tick tries to talk to you. Like
Letty said, he was gonna have him chase his tail.
Yeah, for no reason when you already have these answers. Why are we all wasting time here? But Montrose don't listen, and I get it.
You're like, nigga, you ain't shit.
I understand the issues that Montrose is having. I know that situation very intimately. However, that does not mean you can use that as a crutch for your mistakes, my guy. That's just not how it works. That's not how it works. Fernandez says he might want
and plus he has his own little secret.
I don't know about that, Fernandez. Montrose seems a bit too scared to want to acquire any of this power. And it's not like
plus, there might be something that may be revealed about him or something about their past that might be tied into it that he doesn't.
That's what I think it is. That's what I think.
He doesn't want to know about, and he has his own issues that he was dealing with anyway. Which I also I told AK that I was conflicted because, of course, after he gets his behind like rocked by Tick,
which he deserved,
you know what I mean? This happens to also be the episode where he has his coming out party. Like, I don't know whether to be happy for you or like keep laughing at you that you got your behind. You got, laid out.
That whole scene, and we'll jump ahead here a little bit. That whole scene was a treat for me because they had Shangela and Monet Exchange, two of my favorite drag queens in the circuit right now, cameo in that scene, and I thought it was freaking spectacular. Love both those ladies. And Montrose, he had his little moment. I'll give you some shine for that. Congratulations for accepting yourself, Montrose, but you're still trash in my book. I'm not sorry. You're still trash. Montrose is going to have to do a whole hell of a lot for me to give him the old, pat on the back, the old, attaboy.
Right?
Still not good. Nah, man. Not good enough. Your little awakening is not good enough. It's important for people to feel comfortable in their skin. So I again, like I said, I know his journey very intimately when it comes to that one point in his life. I get it. But you can't use that as a crutch to do the other stupid shit that you've been doing.
Do you think they put that in order to try to help us to, how George R. Martin, like in his books,
try to cover sympathy,
certain insights into characters that are supposed like you're supposed to really want to hate, but it kind of makes you want to empathize with the character because you learn this truth about them. Do you think this is the author's or the creator's way of giving us something about Montrose to kind of make us empathize with him, or to not to explain away, but to give insight as to why he is the way that he is?
Yeah, I think that is what they were trying to do. But I mean, it just didn't faze me. It didn't make me change my mind about him.
I think he's.
And Santavia is saying no, not the redemption arc junk again. Yeah, I don't think he has a redemption arc at all.
I don't think it has anything to do with redemption.
No, they just wanted to show that there is a little bit more.
Like he has the key.
Hey, Marvin.
I think he has he has information, and it's like a slow drip, right? Like everybody has all this information, and as smart as Tick is, he's getting it things piecemeal, and it's not until like something major happens that certain truths are revealed, right?
Yeah. And that's what we need to get past. It needs to stop being traumatizing shit happening for us to get more information. That's the big holdup, the big slowdown.
Right. So I'm hoping that with Montrose finally coming into himself, that will hopefully, I don't know if that's what's help him to like re-see things or have him do like somewhat of a 180 and be more of a help than more of a douche. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to be even more of a douche or maybe less of a douche and actually help Tick. But we also, there's I don't know. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, let's see. So yeah, the interesting part with the whole Adventure Time thing though is they had to bring Ruby along. And Tick tries to be mad and have an attitude about it, but it's her car, bruh.
Mm.
If she wants to ride, Hippolyta, that's right. Like if she wants to ride, she can fucking ride. Because she don't have to let you take that car anywhere. So call me shit. And I think that's another part where I think Tick is also fucking up, because I do agree with he needs to say something more to Hippolyta. He really does, because she's already figuring shit out. And
he did want to tell her. He did want to tell her. It was Montrose who told him, who's been stopping him. He said he should tell. He said he wants to tell her the truth, but Montrose was like, "What are you gonna tell her about? You think she's gonna believe it's about monsters?" And like, he goes, "I don't know. He's just like, I feel like I should tell her. It's like she knows that there's something wrong, and I feel like I should tell her."
And this is why, Tick, I get it. That's your dad, but you're a grown ass fucking man right now. You can do all this other cool shit. So grow some balls and go and talk to your aunt. Like I think that and now where's Hippolyta now? On her way to the fucking county with the monsters and all of the damn racists.
And Miss Girl is there to call him off with her whistle. She's not there to call him off with her dog whistle.
Yeah, she wouldn't be going on this dangerous trek now with her daughter, because she's that pissed off right now. She's not thinking clearly. So not only is she riding into danger, but her child is with her. She wouldn't be on that path if you would have been straight with this woman. So I really dislike that Tick, and I guess I get why he did it. He's still seeking daddy's approval. I understand that, but you have common sense, my dude. Please use it. It's annoying.
Sometimes it's, you know what? It's one of those things where, in one respect, that this is something that you should do, right? If there's a situation that comes up, that, okay, this is what I need to do. But when you are actually faced with that situation, you become so conflicted that, okay, I need to do this. I want to do this, but I'm afraid if I do this, then if this outcome, and then what if this happens? Like, there's too many things going on. Like, I'll just say this. Mr. Atticus Freeman is already messed up in the head enough as it is. Like, he's got a lot of issues that he is dealing with, and he's got a perpetual chip on his shoulder. So it's like, there's a lot of us, there's a lot of us adults who still seek our parents' approval, especially if we've had a parent, like, case in point, Donald J. Trump, which I don't know why he would be trying to still seek. Well, he can never get his father's approval because his father is now dead. So he will forever be in limbo. But you do things thinking that, okay, maybe now you'll see me as worthy. Maybe now,
Linda. Thank you for coming in, hon.
Yeah, I hope Hippolyta going into Artem I hope the baby will be okay, but I have a feeling that they are both smart and that they both will. And I also believe that Uncle George will get them out of whatever pickle they get into. But I know that Hippolyta is a very smart cookie, so she's gonna figure figure some stuff out. But I think she needed to go on that journey herself, because she needs to discover some things and some
she
truth.
has to see why. Yeah, she has to see why things were kept from her, and I'm very sure we're gonna have a kind of a Time Lord adventure when it comes to Queen Hippolyta. Yeah, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. We're actually making good time. We've got we're about halfway through here now. So okay, before we officially move on to Ep 5, anything else big you want to say about episode 4? Okay. All right. So highlights: R.I.P. Yahima again, and Montrose trash. I just want to reiterate that in case anybody didn't hear me the first time.
And Tick is a dumbass.
And yeah, and Tick is still a dumbass. Shout out to T, baby.
Yes.
All right. So what's your first highlight for episode 5?
Well, actually, I only have 2 highlights because I couldn't find 4. So I only have 2.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. We actually skipped over something slightly big that we shouldn't have.
Okay.
The whole setup for Ruby being in the position that she is in episode 5.
Right.
From episode 4. So, Ruby was, she's still pissed off at Letty. She doesn't know that Letty was set up with that money. It didn't come from Mama, came from some wizards. And she's doing what a Black woman in that age would do. She's singing the blues, and then she gets the gist that the crowd isn't feeling her. So she says, all right, fuck y'all. She's in her cups a little bit. And I get it. She's got that. I don't want to fuck with y'all right now anyways. So she goes to the bar, and Sammy, I believe, is giving her a drink, and she's like, no, I can't put that one on my tab. I can't afford that. And he's like, no, Blue Eyes down there got you. And then we see Chrisillium sitting there looking dapper as always. And as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, I know where that's going. And what's the first thing out of Ruby's mouth? It ain't happening, white boy. Ma'am, let me introduce you to Chrisillium, one of the greatest wizards of her age. If you are on the list to get got, I'm sorry, she gonna get you. And what happened? Yeah, it ended up being a very interesting scene on those steps there. And I mean, I can't be mad at Ruby, Again, she was in her cups, she was having a bad fucking day, and she needs some stress relief. Hey, sometimes when you got scratch, man.
And William was all too happy to
help her. And of course, earlier, what Manaro had brought up is, the blood is still on the door at Letty's house, so she can't get in to get that device that she needs. So the only reach around that she could think of is Letty's sister, Ruby. So now we're here at this situation. All right, so that's the setup. So now we're up to episode 5. So what's your first thoughts? What you got?
Okay, so I only have 2 highlights. So my first highlight, is
I don't know if I want to hear you laughing like that.
Store manager getting red bottomed.
It's good. What? Your mic was cutting out. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. Store manager getting red bottomed.
The bloody shoes. The bloody shoes.
Oh, my God.
I know a lot of folks had issues with that scene. And I understand because it was
hard.
It was very hard and tough to watch. However, on the other hand, that's what he was trying to do.
I wasn't supposed to laugh at that, but I laughed.
Yeah, he was a douchebag, almost rapist, and I didn't have any qualms with Ruby for doing what she did. I honestly thought she was gonna, wrap the belt around his neck and just choke him out and leave him there dead. But now he has to live with what happened to him. I mean, if he didn't bleed out, because she left a lot of extra holes in his body, so maybe he survived, maybe he didn't. But if he did, then Ruby basically just proved Christina right when she said, "No, I wasn't giving you magic just to be a white person. I was giving you an invitation to do whatever the fuck you wanted to do." And
Exactly.
Ruby did what the fuck she wanted to do. That dude deserved it. And she knows that she's going to get away with it because that man will never tell the truth of what actually happened to him.
Never.
Never. Doing that shit to anybody else. Soka Brothers. Ron, what's going on, homie? Good to see you. Thanks for coming through.
Never. He got red bottomed. Like, seriously red bottomed.
For
like
sure.
Ruby was like going through her transformation, red bottomed. Like,
and she timed it so perfectly. I can't be mad at her for what she did, man. She timed it so perfectly, and he noticed it first with her eyes, and she just completely cut him off when he brought it out. I was like, "Oh yeah, do you like him?" And then and she went through the moves, and as soon as the rest of that skin started coming off, she walked right in his face like, "Yeah, I did this to you." That was a boss move. I know people have issues with the assault part of it, but
listen, trust me, a lot worse had been done to Black folk.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really not mad. I'm really not mad. So I will say
what was your
the whole sequence from the beginning. And this is why I was saying when we first started that there's a lot of Black history that they weave into these episodes. And for this episode, I learned a few things also, again, that I didn't know, is the vanilla ice cream thing. That was significant. And Ruby had that look on her face, when she was in the, I call her Rubilary, because, Hillary and Ruby together. When she got that ice cream cone, she was still looking back, even as she got to the door, like, is this really going to happen? I'm actually going to be able to walk out of here with this? Black folks were only allowed to buy vanilla ice cream on like one day of the year. Like, the white folks were so in their whiteness that we couldn't even have vanilla ice cream. Kev, what's going on, Bridge? Thanks for coming through, honey. And then when she goes to the park and she's sitting on the bench enjoying that ice cream, Black folks weren't allowed to sit and enjoy the park like that. That was very significant and very deliberate that Ruby sat down on that bench. And I didn't know that was a thing. Again, American school systems are trash.
Yes.
Like, when I found these things out, I was like, holy fuck, like what really? Ice cream. Fucking ice cream. I can't go to the park and sit down and enjoy the damn ducks like everybody else. Really? It's the little things like that they weave into the narrative that I love to see, and I love that I'm able to learn these things now. So yeah, Fernandez, it's nuts. I did not know a lot of these things. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Yeah, go look it up. What was that? Damn it, who was it? I think it was Tamika from Manic Meek's channel. Great channel. She does really good reactions for this show. Y'all go check her out. I believe her and Sean Tank Tops. I put their links in the description, so check them out later on. But yeah, they were they had a discussion together, and that's where I learned all this. Where they said like these were actual things in history. It's crazy. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this show. Also, I had a whole beef with Ruby while I was watching this the first time, because I'm sitting there like, Ruby, what you doing talking to Tamara like this, ma? Like at first, she came at her, she was trying to, be a little bit nice. I thought maybe she might trying to be looking out for her, and that shit went left real quick. she handed my girl some lotion and was
But
like,
that
use
just
this. Here,
speaks
look
to,
at it.
but that just speaks to a lot of what happens with us within the Black community, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times, you know, when we have some of us that are in positions of power and or authority, I should say, not power, but well, you could say both. Whether you're in a position of power or authority, right? And instead of nurturing someone to nurturing someone to you know, give them a hand up so that they can can also rise, we tend to treat them a lot worse, right? We tend to treat them a lot worse, and it's for a number of reasons. Why? Because we don't want to seem like we're showing favoritism, because for some reason
it's
you know,
in our heads.
white, or to think that, oh, right, you know what I mean? Or we're trying to impress them by, you know, and being mean to, you know what I mean? But those are just all psychological. That's a psychological play, right? And a lot of times it's jealousy. A lot of times it's jealousy, because remember when Ruby first came across the young lady said that she just happened to apply on a whim, and she got the job. Ruby had been applying for a while and had never gotten hired. That's one. Second, after she becomes Hillary and she's asking her, oh, what school she went to, or blah, blah, she goes, oh, I never even finished high school.
Yeah. She never even got to high school. And the thing that really pissed me off with that part, though, is there's probably a very specific reason she didn't get to high school. And 9 times out of 10 back then, she probably had to stop going to school and go to work already. And Ruby should have been in the mindset to where she recognized that as soon as she heard it. But because she was feeling herself and she was in this other skin, all of that rage that she feels came out, and she took it out on Tamara in horrible ways. I mean, and I get it. It's like Manaro was just saying, you know, we get into these positions of power and sometimes things go left and we don't use the power that we have accurately. And it's annoying to see. Like, the whole time I was watching the show, I was like, Ruby, stop. Ruby, what the fuck? Ruby, shut the fuck up already. Leave that girl alone.
I like the fact when she slipped up and said, if you don't do it right, if you can't be mediocre, next thing you know, you'll end up in a closet with chill.
That was that shit that she saw in the closet from seeing that dude. And I was like, oh my God, Ruby, people are going to think you are crazy right now. Stop it. It's, oh goodness gracious. Samuel Morningstar, thank you for coming in.
Hello.
It's so nuts. And I did, and while it didn't make me upset, I still enjoyed seeing that, because that is a real moment for a lot of Black folks when they finally get into a position where they know they can shine and succeed, and they don't quite use it the way that it should be used. But yeah. Peter Griffin in here? Why the hell I ain't see his name come up?
Giggity.
Oh man, but yeah, it was tough. It was tough to see, but it was very real. So I appreciated that they put that into her character. Let's see. I think that was pretty much it for that. I did like the reveal that we got. Oh, Samuel is Peter. Okay, my bad. Work account. Okay, that's right. I'm sorry, Manaro. What'd you say?
The reveal of the end that that Williams is actually Christine.
I was wondering if it was going to actually happen, and it did right at that end. And
Ruby's like, all this time I was getting the D, it was really the P.
This whole fucking time, like, you felt that Black woman rage. Like, if she really was in herself, she would have you would have seen the backhand coming up around the side in slow motion, going right to the side of Christina's face.
Girl, but you
like,
know,
it was very interesting to see.
I didn't think the honorary mention though. I want to make the doc. Okay, so from the previous episode, right? The doctor that was in the house that was that Letty had bought. He was obviously doing experiments on, and he was using Black people to make it. Because if you looked at the ghost of the Black people, like you saw how they were like really like messed up and deformed, like they look weird, right? Like the head of the baby on the grown person. So I believe that Christina or Chrysilium was working with that doctor to develop something in order to have people metamorphose, kind of like the whole you're in a cocoon and then you'll come out of that cocoon. I don't know what the right word or right way to say it, but it's like you go through a metamorphosis, right? Like, so the potion that Chrysilium had given to Ruby was something that she had been taking for a while. But what's interesting is the woman that Ruby turns into is the woman that was guarding the tower.
I think there's a very specific reason for that.
Right? So obviously you have to have something of that person in order to, it's kind of like polyjuice. Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I called it too. Polyjuice potion on crack. Yep.
Right. It was polyjuice. And so I wonder if William was I wonder when Christina told Ruby that sheriff had shot William and left him for dead, if she already knew William from before. Yeah, that William was a real person, and she used some part of him. I don't know. She used some part of him in order, but she kind of tweaked it where her appearance didn't go too far off of her actual. I don't know how else to put it. I know I'm sounding like real.
I know exactly what you're saying. I think that is what is in the basement. I think that William's body and the dog lady's body is in that basement. They're in comas, only being kept alive through machines or through some random spell that Chrysilium has made. And she needs them to stay in that state because she has to use their blood in the potions. That potion that she gave to Ruby is specifically coated with that woman's blood just for Ruby. Just like the same potion that she takes, it's a different mix because that has William's blood in it. So that's my theory. And that's why she spends so much time. So yeah, I don't know if we're going to come back to the basement or what's going down in there, but I definitely think that that's what's happening. And I need to know also what the hell is up with the damn captain. Why is his torso the way his torso is? I've been trying to figure that out, and I don't know if there were skin grafts or if that's actually like a Black person's torso that's sewn onto his body, or what the fuck is going on there. But that shit threw me for a loop. I don't know what's happening there. And also the damn the quote unquote protection thing that she gave Ruby to put in the sheriff's office. I don't see any reason that she would want to protect the sheriff, so I feel like that protection is for the guy that's in the closet. But we still don't really know what the deal is with him. From what they said, they said he stole something from the old order, but they didn't say exactly what it was. So what in the frack is going down?
Because he's been there for a minute.
He's been there for a hot minute. And Chrissy, no, they didn't They didn't really give us a whole lot on the guy in the closet. We know he stole something. That's it. And they're trying to get back whatever it was that he stole. France's leftover experimental work from the dead doctor. Could be. There's definitely something extra going on with that whole circuit of people, and we need more information, is all I can say for that. We definitely need more information. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. All right, did you want to drop any more highlights?
No, I'm good with that. I'm good with that episode.
Okay, so and it looks like we've been on for about an hour and a half. And yes, okay, so the plan worked. We are now to episode 6. And we get the case of the 9 tails. So, first impressions. What'd you think?
I truly appreciated this episode in more ways than one, because I'm about to say something really, really off topic, but y'all just gonna have to go with me on this, okay?
All right.
I remember I told y'all that I was gonna be doing anime.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've yes, Circle Brothers, Naruto.
You've made a new friend.
Naruto is the Nile is oh, spoilers. Thank you. Spoilers. Naruto. If you've never watched Naruto the anime, I highly recommend that you do, because I'm going to be talking about it on my channel. When I saw that, I was like, yes, the 9-tailed fox spirit. Yes, give it to me.
Yep.
It is a force of an animal. And it was kind of sad too, because you see this when they're talking, right? And, you know, they're having like this really innocent mother-daughter type moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm going to get this job. When I get the job, I'll bring respect back to this family. She's like, the only way that will bring respect back to this family is if we bring men to this house. And I'm like, what?
Bitch, what the fuck you mean,
what the hell,
men?
diggity?
What you mean, men, though? She didn't even say you need to go find a man. And if she would, I would have had no red flags if she would have said man, but she said men. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so what exactly is the reason that they don't invite you to the neighborhood cookout anymore? Because there's some shit going on there. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be extra on a whole nother level that I didn't even compute yet.
Yeah. And so when she has that encounter with that dude, and you know they're in the room, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you was like, it was like that, and I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, at first I thought there were all these tentacles are coming. I was like, what in the hell? What is going on? And of course, I immediately shut my eyes, right? Because I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then, so of course, I have to do the peek through the finger move, right? The rest of it. And I'm like, oh my God, she is like sticking him everywhere. I'm like, oh, she's about to suck him dry. Oh, this is like the Mummy. Oh my God. And then
but it's so much worse than that.
His whole body like freaking explodes all over her. And I'm like, oh, chunks. I'm like, oh my God. And then her mother appears and she was like, okay.
10 more.
10 more.
What? What?
So now the next day when they're doing the kimchi, I'm like, what is in that kimchi, yo?
Oh man, okay. All right, let me back it up just a little bit. So that first guy that we saw, if you guys watched Heroes back in the day, That is the same actor that played Ando. He was Hiro's best friend. And I thought it was a slight wink from the showrunners when, you know, they showed him on the mountain when she was going through his visions, and he did that little yell that was very reminiscent of the yata that Hiro used to do when he figured out how he was doing his time travel. I thought that was kind of awesome. I appreciated the nod. And yeah, those Naruto Bilquis, you know what? I would not compare her to Bilquis. And you're saying Bilquis, I don't know if that is another Naruto character, but Bilquis I know is from American Gods. And when she sucks lovers into the vagina nebula, I enjoy that. They when you go into the Bilquis vagina nebula, that you have a very good time in there. When the Nine Tails come to get you, it's not pretty. I was trying to figure out what the thing coming out of her ear was in the trailer, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going down there, but I guess we'll see. And oh boy, did it give me way more than I was preparing myself for. I didn't expect that, but then, you know, red flag
is the
men to the house. Yeah, Kumio, I believe. Yeah, that's what it's called. But then I feel like, you know, Ando should have known something was up, because you don't walk into somebody's house and they light one candle and then all the candles light up. That should have been your instincts to run, my dude. Stop thinking with the wrong head, fellas, is what I'm saying. Sometimes it ain't worth it. It's not worth it.
It was that WAP, the promise of the WAP. The promise of the WAP that got him.
Man, that did not work out. But, you know, and then the mom comes in, no fucking sympathy, talking about 10 more. Okay, so I very rarely, you know, just randomly dislike folks. I usually have very good reasons. And, you know, most of y'all in the chat room right now, y'all know me from our Game of Thrones community. So you know how I feel about motherfucking Catelyn Tully. I dislike Gia's mom.
Catelyn is the best mother
more than I dislike Catelyn Tully. Let that sink in. And y'all know I can't fucking stand that bitch. But Gia's mom, if I could fucking reach into the TV screen, pull her punk ass out and put her head through a brick wall, I would. If you were so self-righteous, bitch, and you really wanted to avenge your daughter, you would have summoned that fucking spirit into yourself, and you would have been taking this pain. You allowed that girl to be fucking raped from her childhood because you didn't want to be a single mom out of wedlock. Your selfishness allowed that shit to happen. And then you claim you want revenge. So you summon a demon spirit and you put it in her and you make her do the fucking work. Bitch, bye. If I could, if I fucking could, I would take her ass all the way up to the fucking Erie and throw her off the fucking mountain. Make that fucking bad woman fly. That's exactly what the fuck would happen to her. She would go straight out the fucking moon door. Just the audacity, and then you be mad.
I thought she was gonna take her. I thought she was gonna kill her but I guess it had to be a male, right? It couldn't be a woman. It had to be a male.
That's what it seemed like. It had to be a male. And then all the way at the end, she wants to say, you know, I'll bear the weight for my daughter. Yeah, when there's one more guy left. One out of the whole 100 that you made her go through. Like, oh my God, just
imagine 100.
It infuriated me so much once I saw what the whole story was. I can't stand that. I cannot stand that.
That dealt with a lot of difficult topics, but it just goes to show, like, a lot of things that happen in different in different countries or with in different places become like the similar story that happened in it happens pretty much everywhere. Like this just happens to be a story that happened in Korea. These are stories that happen everywhere in the world where you have a lot of especially in that era and in that time where having a child out of wedlock was a very huge deal. Like there was, nobody walked around being a single parent. That was very frowned upon. And so the fact that, you know what I mean, in order to save her reputation, she married somebody and in effect sacrificed her daughter. Like, this man was supposed to be more of a protection, but then you sacrificed your daughter, and then at some point you felt guilty about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
at some point you felt guilty about it.
And to fix the mistake, you again sacrificed your daughter, and now you're crying, talking about, oh well, you're the demon spirit. You can't feel love. I want you to hurry up and do what you need to do so I can have my daughter back. Word. You got nerve enough to talk all this shit. You did all this nonsense, and you talking shit. You throwing all this shade, and and one of my favorite parts of the episode was when Gia actually let the fox spirit come through, and she cussed her out. She called her on that bullshit. No, I don't know that song because you sang it to her. I don't have memories of you doing that. I have memories of that man singing that after every time he raped her. You didn't do shit. So I question, were you ever even a loving mother when this girl was growing up? But now all of a sudden you got all this remorse for shit that happened? Nah, bitch, miss me with that fuck shit. No, you are straight hot garbage. And I hope something bad happens to you. Not gonna be sorry about saying that. Not gonna be sorry about saying that. I hope something bad happens. But I'm a curb my anger for that character there. That was just one spot. I need to get that out the way. Let's go on to the interactions with Tick in this episode. Yeah. First of all, holy shit, Tick. The army makes soldiers do some very horrible things. So I very much understand.
I'll say this, right?
Yeah, you have insight on it, so please speak on it.
I'll say this, right? When you're in the military and you are in war, and you also saw this in the Game of Thrones, right? Watch, like any real true war movie that you watch, right? Whenever you are with enemy combatants and and your people are being killed, right? When your people are being killed, like these are people that you are in the trenches with, right? Like, and somebody is doing something to pick y'all off, everything is off limits. Right? You don't have your sense of empathy kind of goes out of the window. But I was having a conversation with my sister, and I'll say this real quick, right? Everybody, one person's villain is another person's
true,
right? One person's hero is another person's villain, right? The communists were seen as, but to the communists, they were standing up for their rights and their freedom. I'm breaking up.
We missed the portion of what you said. Your audio cut out. We missed the portion of what you said.
Okay, I said the a person's hero, one person's hero is another person's villain, one person's villain is another person's hero, right? The communists, right, were seen as the bad guys during this war, right? But the people who were in the Communist Party or who were trying to establish the Communist Party were seen as people who were trying to maintain their traditions and trying to maintain their way of life and didn't want to invite certain things, like certain ideologies. They didn't want to change those ideologies, right? They wanted to maintain their own ideology and their own way of life without interference from, you know what I mean? And so therein lies when you are trying to advance, or when you're trying to do something, when you're trying to change a way of life in an area, and there is resistance to change. So the resistance now, of course, is seen as the enemy by those that are trying to institute change, right? And the ones that don't want change see those that are trying to institute change as the enemy. And so here you have a third party who comes in to help those that are trying to institute change, aka the USA, aka the Army, right? And so him and the US Army are just here to provide support to the Koreans who want to institute change, but yet they are being picked off by the communists. So their thing is, listen, we're here to fight for y'all and our men are dying, so we need to nip this in the bud so that we don't lose any more men. And if it means that you gotta die before any of my men die, then that's what needs to happen, right? And so now you get like conflicted, right? Because you don't want to see somebody die for standing up in what they believe in, but at the same time, you know, that's why war is never cut and dry. There's always gray in war, especially when you have a third party, right? A third party who's coming in and fighting on behalf of people who are actually in power. Like in the military, I tell people this, like when you join the military, in essence, you do volunteer to die. That's what you do. Now, most of us don't think about it that way. How they lure us in is they tell you you can have money for education, you have benefits that you are entitled to as part of being part of the volunteer service for this country. But when a war pops off, you are essentially going to have to go and fight in a war, not of your own choosing, but because what the powers that be say, we need to attack, we need to invade, we need to provide a security force. And that may mean you may lose your life. That's what, if it's a matter of I lose my life or you lose your life, of course, what I'm going to do is protect me and mine. And unfortunately, that may mean you are going to die. But, you know, again, it's a gray area. Like anybody on the outside looking in is going to be like, oh, my God, you're an asshole. But
yeah, you can't really say one way or the other. Yeah, on one side, you look at it, Tick's a murderer. But on the other side, he was doing what he was put there to do.
Who following orders?
Oh yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when it comes to war crimes, and punishments that need to be dealt out, like with the bunch of Nazis that were all rounded up, you can't just say you're following orders. So, and I understand that, but then still, again, like you said, it's that gray area. There's just all of that, so many things to take in and to put yourself into that mindset for your own survival and for your team's survival. It's such horrible things unfortunately need to be done sometimes in war, and it just is what it is.
And I found it so, I was so moved by the fact that her friend Ray.
What was her name? Was
Ray,
it
Ray. I'm gonna call her Ray. That's what I'm gonna call her.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Junho or Ryong, something like that. I can't remember what her name was. She stepped in when they were gonna shoot Jia. So like she stepped in and said that I'm the spy. Right.
She gave herself up. Yeah.
And said that I'm the spy to spare her life. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it become, again, this is where you get conflicted, because who is truly the villain and who is truly the hero?
Yeah, that's very true. And no, Fernandez, I have to disagree with you. He said, murder is premeditated with hate. This was war, not murder. No, it's still murder. And it's war, yes, but it's still murder. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Yeah, you have to call things for what they actually are. When that character was first introduced, I thought that maybe there was some type of like maybe she was gonna be a mean girl,
right?
Because of the way she was looking at Gia. But then I looked closer and I was like, oh,
I think she was attracted to her and wanted to.
I think she had a crush on Gia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So not only was she saving her friend by giving herself up, no, she was legit saving the life of a woman that she was half in love with. And that speaks even higher volumes to her character and how awesome that she was. And I'm sad that she had to be taken out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, war is never pretty. War is ugly. Like, they glorify it in movies, right? But I promise you, it's not like in the movies. I promise you, it's nothing like you see in the movies. In the movies, they make it, they give you all of this hopeful. Yeah, you see people die, you see all this other stuff happening. But I promise you, it's nothing like it is in the movies. Like, I promise you, it's nothing like that. So it was good to see at least a very realistic moment where these are things that happen. Like, if you were to talk to anybody who was ever in the Korean or in Vietnam War, I mean, if they could really tell you their experience, those wars in those countries were actual guerrilla type wars, like guerrilla wars. Okay, there's nothing pretty about it. Now our wars are still not pretty, but we have like tanks, machineries, drones, planes, and all this other stuff, right? We don't do too much guerrilla war like we did back in the days. But in those wars, the Korean War and the Vietnam War, those were actual guerrilla wars. And so it's like, you're on foreign land. They have the advantage because that's their terrain, right? But America operates on the idea of taking the war to the enemy. They don't want the enemy coming to our soil. They prefer to take the war to the enemy, right? And so we have to operate on a terrain that we have to learn when they already know the terrain. So they already have an advantage. So we have to be strategic, right? And we have to gain allies, right, in order to do that. And so sometimes when you find spies, moles, and all that other stuff, let's take it to modern day. There was a lot of waterboarding. There was a lot of those were things that were being done in order to I don't agree with it, right? Those are things that we don't agree with. We don't want to see people tortured. We don't want to, but when you're trying to gain information in order to save our troops' lives, which I find to listen, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds of that, but with respect to Tick, right? He was following orders. He had something to do, right? And so now Gia now marks him as she's gonna take him out because he killed her best friend. But unfortunately for her, she ends up falling for him because now Tick becomes a gentleman.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, you know, that first date, I was worried because, you know, Tick's boy told Gia that, you know, they only allow like basically prostitutes to come on to the base now. And that's the ruse that he allowed to be shown. So I was worried for a bit that something was going to happen. But then friggin' Tick's punk ass comes out on the first date all dressed and pressed in the uniform with the flowers and the smile. And Uncle, you know, Daddy Uncle George came through with the movie theater set up because he knew that, because Tick knew that Gia liked musicals. It was cute. It was super duper freaking cute. And it was a nice change to see a little bit of goodness in those horrible trenches. Because both of them were going through shit. They were both feeling all of the weight of everything that they've both been having to do. You know, Gia's got that personal thing with the Nine Tails and she has to kill all these men. She doesn't like doing that shit. Tick is a soldier and he has to, you know, take the orders that he has to do. He doesn't like it, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And all of this is murder. All these things are weighing heavy on their souls, and they find a little bit of lightness in each other. And one of my favorite parts of this episode was that part where Gia said, "Yo, you killed my best friend. I went out with you. I allowed you to fall for me. And at the same time, I fell for you, but I was going to kill you. That's why I targeted you. I was straight up going to kill you. But then I got to know you." And
I just want to interject something. I would tread. I wouldn't classify me personally, and this is just my own personal. Well, I won't say it's my own personal opinion because I served in the military, right? I'm a vet, and any killings that we did, I don't call them murder because they weren't we didn't plan to go to kill anybody. But when you're in a battle, people die, right? If I shoot you, there's a great chance that when you shoot me, I'm gonna die. There's a great chance when I shoot you, you're gonna die. Because one of us is gonna either end up dying or both of us are gonna end up dying. We don't premeditatedly go and say, I'm gonna specifically shoot this person, or I'm going to specifically shoot that person. So I would not call any killings that are done in a war a murder. Now, have murders occurred in a war? Yes. But when we're in a battle, when we are in wartime and people die, I don't call those things murder. Those are just, you are a casualty of a war, right? Whether you're a non-combatant casualty or a combatant casualty, you know, that'll probably be up for debate depending on what were the circumstances. You know, we do have non-combatants that get killed, right? And it's never the intent for non-combatants to be killed during a war. At least in America, we avoid killing non-combatants, right? That is not our objective, right? Our objective is always to disable an enemy before we kill an enemy. But a lot of times, whenever we only shoot when we're shot at first, right? It's always a response. We don't go with the purpose of shooting. Now, do they have targets? Yes, there are people that are specifically targeted. And sometimes it's one of those things where you target someone with the hopes of not having any more people be killed as a result of that person still being around. But that's a whole different that's a whole different conversation and topic for another day. But I just wanted to make that. I just felt the need to have to say that I don't want people to. That's not what we do. But
Hold on, your audio cut out there, Manaro.
I said that I don't want people thinking that military members are murderers or our veterans are murderers. We're not. You know what I mean? Circumstances of war mean that people are gonna die. Does it mean and somebody ends up dying at the end of it? Yes, because it's either that person or me. That's just the nature of war. That's why I say it's very gray. So I don't want to classify necessarily what Tick did as a murder, because that's just part of, the minute that she said that she was a spy, she became a combatant. She was no longer a non-combatant. And were the tactics that they were using, they were very jarring. But believe me, those are the same tactics that are used on the other end. Does it make it right or does it justify? I don't justify anything and I don't explain away anything, right? But sometimes you do things as a way of, you have to get results. And when a person becomes a combatant, the minute that she decided to become a spy and started sending messages from that hospital, she now made everybody a combatant. And so now the rules change. Before that, they would have never touched them. They would have never bothered them, right? They would have never, they are nurses, so they are automatically considered non-combatant. But the minute that she started to use the hospital as a base of operation, she now turned everybody into a combatant. And so if she did not give herself up, they probably all would have died. And if so, her giving herself up is what saved the rest. But even though she really did it to save Gia, I hope I'm making sense. And if I don't, that's okay too.
No, you are. And it's like you said in the very beginning, there's a lot of gray area there. So I do fully get it. And, there was a debate going on in the chat, and that is why I did want you to expound on that a little bit, because I have that personal experience. Which is another reason I like streaming with you, because you always have good insights like that from your own life. And I love it. But let's see. Okay, so we get past first date. Uncle Daddy came through with the awesome movie theater setup. And I think after that, that's when we came through. They had that one guy that they thought was a communist, and they strung him up. And Gia and her friend were talking about how they did it like just right in front of everybody. And made sure to take one of those soldiers that was sitting there joking about it. Took him out, pretty quick. We didn't see the action that time, but we did see the bloodbath that was left at the end. So yeah, we know what happened there. And they do go through this whole montage. It's a back and forth, and Gia does get to the point to where she wants to tell Tick exactly what is happening. What exactly her deal is, because she cares a lot about him now. So they have that little argument. They set things to right, and we end up seeing Tick's first time. Now, I'm wondering, when it comes to the power with the Nine Tails, how exactly did she was able to control it in one instance, but in the second time they showed them together, she couldn't control it. And I'm wondering if it's because there's a specific bit of magic that's going on with that room that she's in. Because when they were at the movie theater private setup, she didn't have any issues there. She was also on top that time, so maybe that might have something to do with it. But the tails didn't come out that time. But then when she was back in her room with Tick, she couldn't control them then. And she noticed, and she tried to stop and grab 2 of them, but you have more than 2 tails, ma'am. That little 2-tail grab was not going to fix the situation. I thought it was interesting that when she let go, she pushed Tick off of her, but she was still seeing the visions, even though they weren't still connected. And that probably means nothing, but it's just a thing that I noticed. I don't know.
I think she was probably having playback. Like, you know how like when you see something and you keep having a playback, like you can't unsee it. Like you see it, but you can't unsee it.
Ah, okay. Like they were showing us everything that she saw while they were. Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I think her control. Oh, this is why I can't wait to go into this whole Naruto thing and the 9-tail.
You've been talking about it for a couple months, man. I'm waiting to see the shit too.
Don't worry, I have the scripts. I'm gonna be putting them out soon. Just let me get the recording, or I have all the scripts written out. Let me get through them. But the 9-tail, the Camille spirit that she possesses is a very very powerful and very what's the word I'm looking for? It has a mind of its own, right? And so the spirit that's the 9-tail spirit that is sealed within her is controlled through a it has to be controlled through some sort of a seal, right? And depending on what her emotion is, right? Because the Camille spirit is also a spirit of rage, and it has very intense emotion. So I guess she was able to control it the first time because she was in full control of her emotions. And so when she is no longer in control of her emotions, like she becomes what you call unabandoned. I don't know. I'm my words. Okay. Just go with me. She becomes unabandoned, right? Like she's not in full control. She's like letting go. The spirit, that's when the tails, all of the tails start to manifest themselves, right? Because now she is losing control. Like she's not really in full control of the power of the 9-tail. And so now this is what we saw, but she got to the point where once she started to see what was happening with Tick, it brought her back. So she started to regain control, enough control to throw Tick off of her.
Right,
I hope I'm making sense.
No, yeah. I'm right with you. That makes sense. It fits. Yeah, I think Marvin in the chat, he was also saying that it was about the control that she has. She didn't have as much control that second time. So that's when the 9-tails came out, and then the 9-tails is going to do what the 9-tails is supposed to do. So yeah, it makes sense. It's just sad because that is the introduction to Tick, and this is when we were discussing episode 2. That's why I said Tick, even though he was freaking out when the random shit started happening, he was still handling it a lot calmer than the average person would. And here in episode 6, this is the reason why, because his introduction to the mystical and weird was the 9-tailed fox of Gia. And I thought I didn't think they would give us a whole episode for this backstory, but I'm glad they did, and they did because it showed so much with these two characters, and all of it needed to be shown. And shout out again to freaking Mulan. I will always forever call her Mulan. Jamie Chung is freaking great, and honestly, she really needs to be more famous than she is. Seriously,
she's
cool for many a time now. She definitely should be getting more roles in Hollywood, man.
Totally underrated.
Yeah, I mean, from the very first scene of this episode, where the couple leaves the theater, and she just this huge smile comes across her face and she jumps up and starts dancing in the aisles. I'm like, dude.
Yes.
As a theater head, as a musical lover, I felt every vibe of that scene. It was just so great. It was so great. And they put this episode up against basically the life of Judy Garland. And it was so fitting that they did. Judy unfortunately did not have a great life. Even now, Hollywood is takes up young women and they chew them up and spit them out, and then blame them for the problems that they have after, when they're trying to find coping mechanisms for everything that was done to them. It's my god.
I never got to see the movie Judy. I never got to see the movie Judy with Renee Zellweger. I heard it was really good, but I did watch a documentary about Judy Garland's life, and that woman went through a lot,
mm-hmm.
a lot in Hollywood, and listen, she unfortunately for her, she didn't necessarily have really good people around her, and it wasn't until later in life where she really regained her agency. I wanted to say it was after after that she actually started to gain agency over her life. But if I had to be anybody, I would have to be Elizabeth Taylor, because that woman was not about that. She lived her life.
She was about that life. She was about that life for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that was a good juxtaposition for Gia, right? Because her friend would tell her, "Listen, it's okay to be different. You don't have to change. You don't have to live for your parents." And she ended up repeating the same thing to Tick, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that was a very powerful connecting moment for them also. Like they both see themselves as monsters, but that doesn't mean that they can't still live and strive for the light, And right. That whole speech that she gave him was just so fitting and appropriate for both their situations. It meshed so well. It's one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode. So yeah, I loved every bit of it. And I'm very interested to see what's going to happen now, because at the end of episode 5, Tick had that call with, and he's asking her, how did you know what was going to happen? And that's the crazy part. Tick ran out before he got any type of explanation. And all the time while he's saying, "Stay the fuck away from me, stay the fuck away from me," she's telling him, "You can't go home. You're gonna die if you go home. You can't leave." I didn't think that he really took a lot of that.
He was kind of freaked out. In his defense, I would have been freaked out too. I'm just saying,
I would be for that. No, sure. Oh, absolutely. I totally understand why he was freaked out. I just didn't think that while she was trying to talk to him in that moment, he even really heard anything that she said.
Oh, no. He was just trying to get the hell about.
Yeah, but on the phone call that they had, he asked her, how did you know that things were going to happen, that I might die or whatever. So he heard her. He just couldn't respond in that moment because he was too freaked out. So he had to get the fuck out, which I get. I understand. That's totally an appropriate response to some extracurricular shit like that, especially when you're butt ass naked. Yeah, that's like when, as a human, that's like one of the times when you're your most vulnerable. When you're in a position and you have no clothes on. Like everybody knows how that weirdness feels,
And you're suspended in the air.
You're suspended in the air. Right,
120-pound woman,
random shit on your eyes and going in your ears and into all the other orifices that will not be named, but y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. So it's the fact that he even heard a little bit of what she was saying is impressive to me, quite honestly, because I know I would have been freaking the fuck out too. So I mean, I'm very much wondering, like a lot of folks, in some of the discussions that I checked out afterwards, they were saying that they were wondering if Gia is now going to come to the US. And I'm kind of hoping that she does. But what I don't want them to do is the jealousy love triangle bit. We have enough going on in the story already. We have enough drama. We don't need that. So while I really do want to see her come through, because I think she could be very helpful with a lot of different things, but I don't want the nonsense with her and Letty going up against each other. I just don't think that's necessary for the narrative.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I hope not. I mean, and we might not even see her.
You know, she
except
still
maybe for a phone call.
That's true. She may not leave Korea. How would she leave? How would she leave Korea?
Wouldn't she be able to just?
You still have to have like paperwork.
Well, yeah, she'd have to get paperwork for it. Well, she'd have to get paperwork for it, but she does also have a shaman that could probably finagle some shit and get her to where she needs to go for a price. So I don't know. I mean, she does still have that one dude to claim. So my weirdo ass mind, I'm thinking, okay, so maybe she could just come through and handle Cressilium real quick, and that would be a win-win situation.
I don't think so. I think
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
I think Christina. Listen, I think Christina had. I think when we were having our discussion before, I think Christina has like some. Her thing is she doesn't want to be held back because she's a woman. Because this whole thing about being in the Sons of Adam is you can't be a woman. It's men only. Yeah. She's trying to change it where it's not just for men, that women are allowed. And I think that's how she has been able to gain so much power, because of course, remember, this is still the 1940s, 1950s. So women don't necessarily have a lot of, power per se, you know what I mean? And so, this is she's trying to get, to a place where women are on equal footing as men with respect to the supernatural. And I think that was one of the driving things that also why the chemistry between her and Ruby works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not only is Ruby a woman and being a Black woman, she felt powerless. Christine, as a woman, even in her white privilege, was still quote unquote powerless because she couldn't hold any position. She was just, in effect, just a gopher for her father. So that's why she got rid of her father using Tick. Yep. And remember, she would always say to Tick, it's funny how the only reason why you're allowed is because of the fact that you're a man in your blood. But she goes, yeah, but he said to her, but he
threw that shade, boy. Yeah, and not even a white man.
I ain't so Black man, so
he's like, yeah, bitch, I still got one up on you. You're gonna take this salt and like it. Oh man. Yeah, and that is one thing that I do try to theorize about, is what's going to happen with Ruby and Cressilium, because on the real, maybe it's just me, but if I'm reading the room right, I feel like Cressilium lightweight caught feelings. It seems like there's a chemistry there, and Ruby didn't go stomping out the house. She legit actually waited there for an explanation. That seems like it's
that's why I said there is a chemistry between the both.
Yeah, they do kind of work. So I'm very interested on seeing what's going to happen. What I do think eventually it'll come through, and even though, like I said, I do think Cressilium does have feelings there, but it's going to put Ruby in direct opposition to Letty, and I think once it gets to that point, Ruby's not going to go against her sister.
No.
Yeah, they got some shit to work out, but that's still her sister. That's her baby sister. So that right there is what's going to be their separation. That's what's going to cut the cord. She's not going to let her sister go into danger or anything if she can really help it. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we have like 3 or 4 more episodes left for the season. So I am waiting on the edge of my seat with eager anticipation. This show is great. HBO has given us another good one. I don't know if we're going to get a season 2. I don't know how they have this set up, if it's even supposed to be continuing into another season. But if this was the only season and they wrap it up the right way, I'd be good with it. I would be good with it because it's the same thing that they did with Watchmen. I know a lot of people wanted a season 2 of Watchmen, but I'm good with the way they ended. That was a great bit of storytelling right there for those few episodes. So if that's what happens with Lovecraft Country, then so be it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show, even though I watch it through,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to pay some therapy bills for Manaro because she does not do the horror at all. She really doesn't. Watching the show just so I'll have somebody to talk to about it on the stream.
Listen, when Christilium when they brought Ruby when she was in the white woman's body into the house, and I saw like a hand, I was like, what is happening? And then he put it on plastic.
He took her into the Dexter room. And he had a fucking Dexter room set up.
I was like, what is he gonna do? And then he picks up the knife and she's like, I don't want to die. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you gonna do? I was like,
did you see the eyeball?
Oh my God, I can't.
When she opened her mouth, it was Ruby's eyeball sitting there. And the whole time, Christilium is being smooth and talking calmly, like, sometimes the first time is hard and you kind of got to cut, the other persona away to get back to your true self. And I'm hearing this, but I'm still thinking, bitch, are you really about to kill Ruby? Really? Are we really about to see Ruby snuffed out right now? Because that's just not going to work for me. But then, we get back to seeing real Ruby wake up in the bed again, and she was on it too. She, the first question, did I die to become that white woman? and no, she did not die, but because it was her first transformation and she really didn't know what was going on, she didn't know that she had even been transformed in the first place. Right. And I think that the way that looks, it seems like all of that weirdo pain and like the bone cracking happens when they're changing back to the regular cells, because it doesn't make sense that she would not have remembered changing into Hillary in the first place. So I think the initial transition, once you drink the potion, that's smooth, but then when that potion's wearing off, that's when the shit gets weird, and you got skin hanging off everywhere. And who is cleaning up the skin piles that are being around the city?
I don't know. Well, that's why he had the plastic down.
Well, yeah, that's in the house, but Ruby's transformed in a few different places around the city.
Yeah, but well, I guess when they see the skin piles, they're like, what happened here?
That's what I'm saying. Well, my one crack theory on that is that maybe Christilium has house elves and they just know to go clean up. So yeah, there's something magic that happens. Maybe it just disappears into the ether. I don't know. It just seems like if you're gonna do that, then you got to have a way to clean that up and keep it secret. Otherwise, some shit's gonna start happening. So I don't know.
I'm mad that Marvin said this could have saved Michael Jackson a lot of money. I'm so bad. I am so bad. I want to laugh, but there's some part of me that feels so wrong. I wanted to laugh at.
Oh, that dark humor. Fernandez, goofy ass over here talking about maybe it knocks you out and you wake up white. Also, where do I sign up? Shut up.
Ew.
Oh goodness. He said, is there an animal pro? You know what? I don't know. But knowing Christilium, if she felt the need to make some type of weird anamorph potion? She probably could.
I think that probably is. Because
oh, you think it has some animal DNA in there?
Out
like
of the
chameleon? Well,
she's probably
a possibility. Your audio cut out again.
I think her and that doctor were doing something. We're experimenting. Her and that doctor were experimenting until he got,
That's a very interesting thought. Yeah, see, I need to see the basement now. I theorize that there are at least 2 human bodies being held down there, but that's probably her laboratory where all of the things are. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. But all right, so we've done all of our highlights and given our insights and frustrations and likes and dislikes and whatnot. So let's spend the last couple minutes here. Just another 5-10 minutes we'll be on. What do you think is coming for our Queen Hippolyta in the next episode?
Ooh, I think she's gonna reach back to find out who her spirit, who she was in the past. Like, of course, everybody knows that Hippolyta is the queen of the Amazons, right? And so in DC Comics, and we'll call it Greek mythology, right?
Yes.
In Greek mythology. And so AK was, has already mentioned that, the whole idea of Hippolyta, her daughter being named Diana, which is not by accident, because of course Diana Prince is, aka Wonder Woman, is the daughter of Hippolyta, right? And
Zeus.
so, and George, in effect, is Zeus. Now, who Atticus plays, I don't know if Atticus is actually Aries, or if he's
I think someone was saying that he might have an Aries persona.
You know what I mean?
I've heard that before. That's a theory.
Because he was a soldier, and he was and Aries is, God of war. He's a war god, and so there might be
Diana's older brother, so it fits.
So I have a feeling she's gonna tap into that, and she's gonna have the, remember when she got the, I forgot what they call it, the things that predicts the sun and the moon, the whole solar system,
the Ori,
that apparatus, that the time machine.
Yep. She's gonna figure that out.
Yeah, she's gonna. I think she is the key to open it up.
Let me shameless plug. Go watch my freaking Uncle George Hippolyta theory video, because all the shit is in there. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that Ori was always meant to get back to Hippolyta, and now we're gonna see what that means.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is very Percy Jackson also, Sam, you're right.
So I think that when the next episode, when we looked at the previews, we're going to be seeing her going back to Artem is what's going to, where she's going to get the answers. And I wonder if this is where we're going to see Uncle George probably somehow reveal himself.
Yeah, I think that this would probably be the smoothest way for them to do it. Marvin, you think Uncle George being the dad is a red herring? Well, see, here's the thing. I have not read the book, but folks that have, I did ask one of them, how does it actually fit with what the storyline is? Uncle George being his dad is not a plot point in the book. So they would not have set those breadcrumbs in the show if they weren't actually going to do something with it. So I think he's definitely, you are the father.
You are daddy.
But we'll see. We'll see. You know, it wouldn't be the first time the show has surprised me. So we'll see what they do. Definitely. Yeah, I think they're also we're gonna see a little bit of what happens in Artem. I think the car is gonna break down at some point because we did see a clip of that in the trailer. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it seemed like Diana and Hippolyta got separated because at that point they only showed Diana in the car. So I don't know where exactly it could go, but maybe they'll find Artem and the house will probably magically be rebuilt. I don't know. She's going to find some answers somewhere. And or this is like you said, Uncle George is going to come through and lead them back out. You know, he is the guide maker, so it would be fitting for him to play a guide. And I'm really hoping that they didn't have Courtney B. Vance come through with all his awesomeness for just 2 episodes.
I know, right?
So yeah, I would love to see him and Yahima again. I agree with you on that, Marvin. I would love to see Yahima again as well. But no, we'll see how that plays out. But I know we're going to be time traveling next episode because whatever happens in Devon County, I think that's going to give Hippolyta the answers she needs, and she's going to get back home, figure out the Ori, and that's going to start her journey. And that's why we see her in all those different timelines in the trailer. And I think it's going to be a hell of a ride. I've been waiting to get back to Hippolyta's part of the story, and I'm really excited for this next episode.
I agree with you, Marvin. HBO shows sometime.
And yeah, but I'm holding on to the wins that we got in Watchmen. Watchmen was a winning ending, and I think we've got just as good a team here on Lovecraft Country. So I'm thinking they're going to end it out pretty well. But you know, fingers crossed. So that's our discussion for the day, folks. Manaro, why don't you go ahead and remind the folks of what you got coming up?
Yes. So I am currently working on some episodes I'm going to be introducing a new series on my channel talking about animes and mangas. So look out for that in the next couple of weeks. Right now, I'm still, finishing up all of my scripts to get them recorded and then edit. Editing is not my strong suit. But I think I am improving. And I just also want to say a special thank you to my sister AK here, because she has definitely been motivating to me. She has given me a spark, and I just want to let her know that I'm extremely grateful, and I thank her and I love her for that. And so I'm really excited about getting ready to start this new series on my channel. And then I have some other things that I will be doing. Of course, I have a couple of shows that I am going to be doing review discussions on that are coming up. I don't want to say what they are because I don't know what order I'm going to put them in. And Naomi Nagata will be next Saturday. I will be doing a Naomi Nagata.
Oh yes, back to The Expanse. Yay!
Yeah, The Expanse. I haven't dropped The Expanse. I am going to be doing a Naomi. It'll probably be a short one. It's not going to be very long, but I do want to do that because the other 2 Rocinante crews out, and then get into the actual main book story. And do I'll probably do pre-recorded videos with respect to those. But as far as the character ones, I'm gonna just do like a quick live stream. They'll probably be around like 30 minutes or so. They probably won't be a way for me to kind of chat with everybody in that regard. So you guys can look forward to those things from me and wherever else I may end up on the tube.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Definitely.
And thank you, AK, for inviting me to the channel to have a discussion.
Oh, always, always. Thank you, Chrissy, for putting the links. If y'all have not subscribed to my sister yet, please go and do so. You will not be disappointed. Like I always say, you'll find me on other folks' channels quicker than you'll find me on my own. It just so happened that we decided to do Lovecraft on my channel this time. So all of the upcoming Expanse discussions will all be on Monaro's channel. So again, make sure you have your notifications set for all of that. I am not an expert on the anime, so I'm looking forward to that so I can learn some new things and get some new shows under my belt. Let's see, coming up, I might, depending on how things flow with the next episode tomorrow night, I might have another theory video coming up. We'll see what thoughts and random tinfoil runs through my head after watching. Besides that, we'll probably do maybe one more full season stream since we got 4 episodes left. So once the season's over, we'll do a full, rest of the season wrap up to get all that going. So swing by. Also, Sam, again, happy birthday. It was a great time hanging on Sam's channel last night. For those of you that were there, you know what I'm talking about. And thanks everybody for coming into the chat and having these discussions with us. See Chrissy, Fernandez, Marvin, Sam, even though she was hungover, came through. Santavia, let's see, Circle Brothers, my homie from back in the day. Appreciate you coming through for sure. Let me start to scroll up here. I know Jordy was in here, Amy Blackfire. And Amy also has a channel. Y'all, please go check her out. She is very knowledgeable on her things. The Richard Cheney. I don't think I've seen your name before, sir. Greetings. Peter Griffin was in the spot under an alias at first, I believe. That's why I didn't recognize him. And let me see if more people will be shown here. Kev from Bridge 4, he was in here earlier as well. And sorry for anyone that I may have forgotten. The chat only lets me scroll back up so far. So shout yourselves out in the comment section. And, let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think is going to happen coming up? What are you most looking forward to? I don't think anyone has any streams scheduled for later. Joe Magician might be on right now. We actually ran over a little bit longer than I thought we would. But I know Radio Westeros also has a thing going down that they usually do. It starts around 5, I think. Is that right, Manaro?
They do it every other week. So I think they'll be on next week.
Okay, yeah. So y'all check your notifications. If you're not subbed to Radio Westeros, please do yourself a favor and do that because they are awesome. But yeah, we are done here. We are on episode 7, waiting for that to come up. Miss Swift, aka Pendragon 21. I don't think I've seen your name before either. So thank you for coming through, ma'am. Appreciate that. And hugs to all my sisters in the chat. Chrissy, Santavia, Sam. I love y'all. Always love hanging with y'all. Linda was in here earlier. That's one person I was forgetting. Linda's also great. So we will see you guys in the next one. Hopefully next week. Set your notifications. Peace out.
Bye.